I said, well, I was
We're
up
on-
since 8:30.
He wasn't that late for davening, actually.
Nah, we're on Talik Zion of Beis, 97b. Okay, so we are on the Gemara's like this, 97b, we're in the middle of the page.
That's it.
The line starts with the word mai, and mai vayipach lakates. The pasuk is, right? So the Gemara discussed this pasuk in Chavakuk, which says, for there's another time for this occasion, it'll announce the end, it will not lie. If it tarries, wait for him, because come he shall come and not delay. And the Gemara noted that this pasuk requires explanation that many tried to offer and didn't work, because the Gemara, the verses clearly think there's an end, and the Gemara makes the verses saying there's an end in relation to some other time, and therefore the various different interpreters tried to find other verses which compare the amount of time it would take for Mashiach to come and try to match it up with the way, with how long the slavery in Egypt was, and doing a comparative analysis to that using different verses that say 1 times and a half or something, and then figure out how many years we were in Egypt, 2.5 times that's when Mashiach's coming, and different interpretations like that. And the Gemara basically began by saying none of them got it right, and this verse is beyond us to understand exactly what the verse means in announcing that there's an end, as in there is a time when it's all over. So the Gemara is going to further analyze this verse, and this is going to be a very interesting discussion of the Gemara about the nature of waiting for Mashiach. And then the Gemara is going to take what seems to be a sidebar and then come back to the discussion about when Mashiach comes. So the Gemara says like this: Mai vayipach lakates. It's about a little bit lower than halfway down the page. The line begins with the word Mai. So Mem Aleph Yud. Mai vayipach lakates. You have it? Okay, Mai vayipach lakates. What does the verse mean when it says he will announce the end, v'lo yechaziv, and is not lying? What does that mean? Is announcing the end is not lying? Why would you think he's lying? What does this mean? I think it's a basic question. Like, why would the verse be lying? So Amar Shmuel bar Nachmani, the Shmuel son of Nachmani explains. Amar Rav Yonasan, the name of Yonasan, explains as follows. He translates the word vayipach, which we translate to be announced or call out, and he translates as tipach, which means cursed. Same root word, pach. Cursed. Tipach atzman shemachach say kitzin. Cursed shall be those who announce when they think the end of exile is and when Mashiach is going to arrive. They know the number, they know the date. Shahayu Aimim, because they used to say, Kivin Chigia Esakates, because Mashiach hasn't arrived on the date that they prescribed, V'loibon, it didn't. Kivin Chigia Esakates, the time that they've predicted would be the end, arrived. V'loibon, it doesn't. Mashiach's not coming. Shuvaniba, so he's not showing up. So in other words, Shmuel bar Nachmani is translating the verse to mean, Vayipach lakates, cursed all those that find the end, v'lo yechazev, and in that way you won't be lying. In other words, don't lie about the date just because you think you figured it out. So lo yechazev doesn't mean that it doesn't lie. The simple meaning of the verse is that the announcement of the end doesn't lie, as in it's true about when it says the day is coming. Whereas this translation says, no, it's an instruction to those who think they want to figure out in the end. It's telling them, stop lying, you don't know. That's what it seems like he's translating this verse to mean. Even though in history, as you see, earlier, the Gemara quoted sages which did predict when the end of days are, and since then there have been sages who have done that. Even scholars who themselves have talked about explaining, even those who have agreed that you're not supposed to see the end themselves have tried to find when the end's going to be. Just telling us it made a matter of fact. Specifically, I think I mentioned before, there's a pasuk in Daniel which gives it which says that there's going to be a big event related to the establishment of some building, and then it gives a couple of certain millennia after that. Not millennia, gives a few hundred years after that. There's many different people who have tried to figure out when this establishment of this era begins, and trying to count it, and the people are still doing it today. Maybe the Gemara says, stop wasting your time and don't lie. That's what the Gemara says. Ella, rather, what should you do? So read the next words in the verse, which is Chakala, wait for him. Instead of trying to figure out when he's arriving. Shneimar, as the verse reads, Im Yismamea, if he shall tarry, Chakala, the very same verse says, if he shall tarry, wait for him nonetheless. And this is these words is what's used like I believe in complete faith with the coming of Mashiach. Even if he's going to tarry, I wait for him his arrival every day. It's a play on this verse and this Gemara, using the same words of this statement here.
Do you have a key? Like this whole building is locked. Thanks.
There's an actual physical key there too.
Okay, no, I need the whole basement locked.
Okay, go for it.
Preschool.
Now the Gemara says the following thing. This is unbelievable. I mean, you could bring mamash for hours on this next few lines. So it says the Gemara, Shema Taimar, you might suggest anu machakim. Okay, so the verse told us to wait for Mashiach, so we're waiting. So maybe we're in machakim. Maybe God's not waiting. Talmud Leimar, so comes the verse and says, so verse in Isaiah, L'chein yimchaka Hashem, and therefore God Himself awaits l'chanachnechem, to be gracious to you, to essentially to redeem you. V'lachein yadum l'rachmechem, therefore God's going to get up to have mercy upon you. So Hashem Himself is waiting for Mashiach to come. Now, Rashi needs to comment here because I'm awaiting his arrival because I don't know when it's coming, right? So I'm anticipating his arrival, hoping it's at any moment. Sorry? Yeah, he doesn't know when it's coming. What does it mean, wait? So Rashi says, Rashi translates, Hu atzmei machaka u'mesava shiav Mashiach. He himself is waiting. Mesava means and desires for the arrival of Mashiach. In other words, it's not wait as in he's waiting, when's it going to come? But rather, God's excited for it to happen. Mesava, he's like hope. He's
eager.
Eager, that's the right word. He's eager for it to happen. It's an amazing statement. Now here comes the next question the Gemara is going to ask. And in truth, what we should really do is, we should ask the question the Gemara asks, and then close the Gemara. But not unfortunately, I'm joking. The Gemara continues, so we're going to continue. But in theory, it would be nice, at least from the Yid's perspective, to ask the question and then finish with the question. In Chassidus, there's an old, I think it was even before Chassidus, but there's this old thing that when you're studying philosophy, you shouldn't go to sleep after the question's asked. No, it's philosophy opens up with a question about the nature of God, let's say, and then the next chapter gives the answer. So there's an old thing, don't go to sleep at the end of the question. Because you wake up in the morning and you'll just have the question stuck in your head. Better get to the answer, So Chassidus rarely ends off with a question in that sense. It doesn't end a chapter, it doesn't end the thing with a question, leaving the person hanging, and then in the meantime, perhaps even a borderline heretical idea is percolating in his head. Better get to the answer. In chapter 4, chapter 3 of the second part of Tanya, the Alter Rebbe ends the chapter with a question. The question the Alter Rebbe ends with is, after having explained how this entire creation is nullified to Hashem, it's nullified to God, so the Alter Rebbe concludes with the question, if everything's nullified to God, then why don't we feel nullified? And he ends the chapter with that question. And Chassidim would comment, that's the kind of question, it's okay to go to sleep on such a question. Why aren't you nullified? So you won't get the intellectual answer till tomorrow, it's okay. You can sleep on the idea of why come you not nullified? So I think a similar thing is here. The Gemara's question, in theory, you can end on this question, which is like this. Now considering that we are waiting for Mashiach, and God is waiting for Mashiach, who's stopping it?
We're stopping.
That's not what the Gemara says.
But that's my interpretation is,
No.
if
The
Hashem...
Gemara says we're waiting, and Hashem's... Let's hear the Gemara. So saying it's good to end... This question itself is enough. We're waiting for Mashiach's coming. And Hashem is waiting for Mashiach. Hashem, we're eager for it to happen. Hashem is eager for it to happen. So no. In theory, we can end the Gemara right here. The Gemara doesn't, so we're going to continue. But in theory, finished. We want it to happen. He wants it to happen. Ganug. Enough.
Doesn't work, but it's fine.
Sorry.
Another's coming.
So the Gemara asks, "Bimakif." So who's stopping? Who's stopping Mashiach from coming? Hashem wants it to happen. We want it to happen. So says the Gemara. Midas hadin me'akevas. The attribute of judgment is holding it back. What does the attribute of judgment want? But the way the Gemara phrase like this, if the attribute of judgment is holding it back, why are we waiting? In other words, if the attribute of judgment, we mentioned this before, that when you say these things, it's not like there's God here and the attribute of judgment somewhere else. It's attribute of judgment is God's attribute of judgment, right? Which means there's on some level, there's layers and layers of divinity, right? So on some level, or at a deep level, Hashem Himself is waiting for Mashiach to come, right? But on some other level, there's some element of divine truth that requires something else, and therefore it's being held back. Now, if that's the case, it means it's out of our hands. And if the Gemara asks, why are we waiting? What are we waiting for? If there's some divine truth that's holding it from coming. If we could do something, then we wait. Trying to push it to make it happen, but we can't, and sit back and we forgot to do it. And this is where you can't go to sleep on, because you have to do something. So it says the Gemara like this: L'kabel schar. We wait to receive reward. I'm translating literally, and I'll explain a little bit in a second. Shinemar, as the verse reads, Asher kol choik Eloi, praised are all those who wait for Him. So what does this mean? On a very simple level, what the Gemara is saying, before we get to a deeper level of this, but just on a simple level, the Gemara is saying that you're waiting, in addition for the fact that you're anticipating Mashiach's arrival, but the anticipation itself is reward worthy, and therefore you're waiting even without His arrival. Okay, Mashiach's coming now, we don't have to wait any longer, but the last 30 years of my life waiting was valuable, not just because Mashiach, even though Mashiach didn't come last week, well, waiting for Him last week was valuable because I get rewarded for waiting for Him. That's just a simple reading. But we can go even deeper, which is like this. Especially, we've talked about this before, especially the way Chassidus understands this, and Tanya elaborates on this, and this is not just Tanya, but this goes back to the Shalah and others, where this idea that the reward and punishment in Torah mitzvahs is not compensation, but rather, I had a word for it, like the result of what I did. The reward is created by that which I've done. So reward for the mitzvah, like the Mishnah says, reward for the mitzvah is the mitzvah itself, meaning to say, the reward for the mitzvah is created by the mitzvah. The basic idea is that the way in which the reward in heaven, even life after death, in heaven for mitzvahs is to appreciate the divine energy invested in the mitzvah. You did a mitzvah here, you don't necessarily appreciate consciously the divine beauty that's created by that mitzvah. When you go to heaven, you do. So the reward for the mitzvah is actually created by the mitzvah itself. And the same thing is true of Mashiach's coming, as the Alter Rebbe explains in chapter 36, 37 of Tanya. And that Mashiach's coming is the revelation of godliness on this earth. The revelation of godliness is created through Torah and mitzvahs. So the mitzvah, Mashiach's coming, the reward, is not compensation for putting up with exile, but actually a result of our work in exile. Yeah? So now, if that's the case, let's apply this rule to here. The Gemara says that waiting for Mashiach's coming is in and of itself worthy of reward. What would that mean? It's not just we're being compensated for waiting even while exile was going on. Oh, good for you waiting, pat in the back, and give you some reward. It's more than that. The Messianic revelation is created by the waiting for Him. The anticipation of Mashiach's coming is in and of itself part and parcel of that which creates the Messianic reality.
So it's a kind of an avoida.
It's an avoida. That's correct. Waiting for Mashiach's an avoida. Take this even further. If Mashiach's coming is the revelation of godliness, that's what it is, revelation of godliness on this earth, then waiting for it means a person is filled with the desire, I want to see the Eibishter. That's an avoda. Is that not the service that we do always in our prayer and Torah? Looking and searching and waiting when we're going to get a small glimpse of a divine truth? So in our entire exile, not just waiting for Mashiach in some theoretical sense, but our entire work in exile is, in essence, the root of it is a waiting for Mashiach. In other words, a search for godliness. That's at the core of our entire service. They never went even a step further.
Is that why the Rambam put it into his 13 principles?
Yeah, one could say that. That not just the belief in Mashiach's coming, but actually the waiting is part of the principles. That would make a lot of sense to me. That would fit very well. They never went even a step further, not directly related to this Gemara, not that I know of at least, but never made the statement a few times. That given that we are coming closer and closer to Mashiach's time, not just waiting for Mashiach's coming, but they would say we should live Mashiach. Live in a Mashiach-like mindset. Meaning live in a mindset where divine truth is the only truth. And living in that mindset is what creates the Messianic reality. It's a much deeper version of waiting for his truth, waiting for his coming. And I think it's connected to this Gemara and understanding that waiting for Mashiach's coming is rewarded in Mashiach's coming. Thus, that would mean the work that we do to bring Mashiach, part of that is the waiting for him. Not just hoping it's going to arrive, but the waiting for it is itself the avodah. And I think this connects to the next Gemara.
It's the preparation waiting for them.
It's correct. The waiting for him is part of the preparation.
That's the whole thing.
Seeking out godliness, that is what we do to bring Mashiach, not just the unrelated compensation for putting up with it, so to speak. I think understanding this Gemara in this way helps us understand the next Gemara and its connection. On the surface, the connection to the next Gemara is a word association. But I think based on what we just said, we can have a deeper explanation in the connection to the Gemara, the next Gemara. The next Gemara is going to talk about how many righteous people are around in this world. At any given time, there's a certain amount of righteous tzaddikim around in this world. And as we're going to see, their righteousness is not just their righteousness in behavior, but their righteousness is actually in the way in which they perceive godliness now. And I think that's the connection to the next Gemara. We just finished saying that a person's waiting and searching for godliness, and that's what brings about the Messianic era. So the Gemara goes right into this idea that there are Jews who actually now already live in this type of fashion, where they see godliness even now in exile. And therefore I think that's the segue to the next Gemara. And then when we're done with this Gemara, before the Gemara gets back to the original discussion, I'm going to share with you a little snippet of a mimer, which I think connects to this Gemara in a very deep way. Let's see the Gemara itself. Amar Abaye says, Loi pachas alma, the world will never be short of mitlasin v'shisa tzadikaya, will never be less than 36 tzadikim, the makable apeshina, which greet the face of the divine presence, the chaldar in every generation. Shnemar, as the verse reads, Ashrei kol chaykaloi, praise those who wait for him. So this is, on the simple level, this is the connection to the previous Gemara. The Gemara quoted the verse in describing that there's reward for waiting, because the verse says, praise is the one that waits for him. So Abaye takes the same verse and says, praise is the one that waits for him. The word him in Hebrew is loi, which is lamed vav, and loi, bigamatria tlasa v'shisin hava. The word loi, lamed vav, is the gamatria, is the numeric value of 36. And therefore, the Gemara is saying, Asher kol chayke, loi, praised are the ones who wait for him, which is 36. Meaning 36 people wait for him. But the way Abaye interprets it, and I think that connects to our interpretation of the Gemara previously, is that it's not just 36 people who wait for him, but 36 people who greet the face of the Shekhinah. Which means in every generation there are people who live in this messianic state, who are already greeting the state of greeting Mashiach. And I think what Abaye is alluding to is that the Gemara just finished saying, based on our interpretation, that waiting for Mashiach's coming is in and of itself part of the process of bringing Mashiach and seeking out divine truth. So here Abaye is making a statement that there already are such Yidden, there already are such Jews, and there's always such Jews.
These are 36 tzaddikim.
36 tzaddikim. But the way he describes them is mekable apeshina. They greet the face of the Shekhinah. And he connects them to this verse of praise are those who wait for him, which is connected to what we just described earlier about waiting for Mashiach's coming. So in other words, Abaye is almost saying that there are people now who live in a kind of messianic state. At least 36. Should we go? We should go do a quest. Go find them. But they're 36. So the Gemara states.
We don't know of one.
I don't.
We don't know of one tzaddik.
I don't.
No, you.
There. I think I don't know them, but there's. Thank God, there are millions of Jews, and they're there around somewhere. They could be hiding in plain sight, but they could be literally hiding. Okay. We'll go a little bit further. Okay, now we're going to stop over here. The Gemara is going to get into a little discussion later about it seems like there's more than 36. And the Gemara says there's different levels. And then the Gemara is going to come back to the statement of when Mashiach is coming and what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? And that Gemara, I think, is in Thai, famous statement, Kolo Kol HaKitzin. That's going to really bring together the whole Gemara in a manner which is similar to the manner that we just explained. A wonderful day, everybody.
Have a great day.
Mashiach Taka come today. I agree with the Gemara's question. If we're waiting and Hashem is waiting, what's stopping anything? Make it happen. A wonderful
We're
day.
stopping.